My people, I hope you're doing great. Here we are, 9-4 today. Can you believe it? We're almost halfway through chapter 9. So now we're going to get into solving quadratic equations. We will solve them with different methods, and kind of just like factoring, guys, it all depends on what it looks like, right? When I say I mean what the quadratic equation looks like for how we're going to factor it, okay? Today we're going to learn two methods, right? Two methods. One of which, very familiar, we will be good at. The other which is new, and that's this one right here. So square rooting, right? We can take the square root to solve these quadratics. Remember, we talk about opposite operations all the time when we solve equations, okay? Well, if a number is already squared, right, like 100, really like any number, okay? But let's just choose 100. If let's say 100's already been squared, if I want to unsquare it, we just take the square root of that number, right? So the square root of 100 would be 10. 10 squared would be 100. So these are just like adding and subtracting, multiplying, dividing, right? Our next set of opposite operations is squaring a number and square rooting. All right, so when we see things like this, right? So this already has something being squared, right? It has this quantity, x minus 7, being squared. And if that's all we see, we want to take the square root, right? If I could unsquare this and get rid of this 2, we could very easily solve this equation, okay? And good news, we can, folks, okay? Unfortunately, case 1, case 2 are coming back. Why do you ask? Well, here's why, guys. So if I take this x minus 7 squared equals 36, okay? Like I said, I have to take the square root of both sides, okay? Right? Now, think about it. When we square root a number, our calculator is figuring out, okay, what number multiplied by itself gives me 36? Well, you guys all know that that's 6, right? Because 6 times 6 is 36. But I'm telling you, there's also a second number. And your calculator won't give you that. We just have to use our brain calculator. Because that's negative 6, right? So negative 6 times negative 6 also would be 36. So here's how this works. So the very first thing we're going to do is take the square root of both sides. I'm left with now x minus 7 equals, right, this fancy thing right here. This is our two cases. Plus or minus 36, right? It could be positive. I'm sorry. That's got to be 6. There we go. Plus or minus 6, right? So it could be positive 6, could be negative 6. Okay? If you want to leave it like this, you can. If you would like to write this as, hey, x minus 7 equals 6 and x minus 7 equals negative 6, that's fine. I just need you to give me both answers, right? Same thing, I'm adding 7 to both of these. So here we're going to get x is equal to 1. Here I'm going to get x is equal to 13, excuse me. Here x is equal to 1. My brain's moving faster than I can write and talk, okay? So there's your two answers there. Bam. Solving with square roots. Solve each equation, check for, yikers. Okay, so this escalated quickly, all right? Again, what's the problem with the square root of 8, guys? Yeah, you guessed it. It's not a perfect square. So same thing we're going to do, right? We're going to take the square root. When I apply that, I get plus or minus this number here. So a couple different ways I can write my answer depending upon what they're looking for, okay? Remember, this is going to be the positive version of the square root of 8 and then the negative of the square root of 8, okay? So let me just throw this in here. Square root of 8, right, is a 2.82 number, okay? So that means this is positive 2.8 and negative 2.8 and all that other stuff after it, okay? So two different ways we can write this. If I said solve this equation for x, right, but I don't want you to combine these two numbers because they're not really that great. Here's what it would look like. So x equals, again, we would subtract this 9 over here. So you could have plus or minus the square root of 8 minus 9, okay? So that would be an acceptable way to write our answer. It's telling me, look, we have both answers here. You're going to take positive square root of 8 and subtract 9. That was that 2.82 number. So 2.82 minus 9. Then you're going to have negative 2.82 minus 9. So both these answers are going to be negative. Now, if it's looking for decimal approximations, that's certainly fine too, okay? I can take the square root of 8, and then I can add 9 to it. I'm sorry, we're subtracting 9. Who are we kidding? Right? Subtracting 9. There's my first answer, okay? So we could say, oh, x is approximately, I'll say negative 6.17. That's fine. right? My second answer, guys, looks like this, right? My second answer will be x equals that right there. Again, you just type that into your calculator. It will give you all that you need to know. Square root of 8 minus 9. Okay? Bam. There's that number. Okay? So negative 11.82. All right? So this is my exact answer. This is my approximate answer. Okay? Depending upon what the question asks, okay, either one of these would be appropriate. Okay. Alrighty. More things that are flying through the air. Projectile motion. Book falls from a shelf. It's 5 feet above the floor, about this high. The model for the height of the object dropped. Okay, right here. H of 0 is the height. Okay, so that would be 5 feet. T is the time. Great. Use this model to determine approximately how long it took the book to reach the ground. So the ground, we need to know the height of the ground, right? So that I can replace. We all know the height of the ground, guys. The height of the ground is 0. Okay? So in other words, 0 equals this negative 16t squared plus 5. Okay? Kind of looks similar to the equations we had, but not really. What can we do here? I've got an idea. Right? If this was just negative 16t, guys, I think we'd be able to figure that out on our own, right? But the squared is in there. So let's try to make it look like the other ones. For starters, I'd like to put the equals 0 over here. Okay, then I'm going to start moving things over, right? So I'm going to move over this 5. So negative 16t squared. I'm going to subtract 0 minus 5, negative 5, folks. That's how I'm going to get that. Can I get rid of this negative 16? I most certainly can, right? I can divide both sides by negative 16, okay? Right, this will go away as I run out of room. T squared equals, I'm just going to leave this as a fraction, 15/16. Does this look similar now to what we had the last 2 slides? It does kind of, right? I don't have like that x minus 4 and then that quantity squared, but we have just t being squared. So when we just see a squared term and I don't have that other variable in there, t, solve with square roots. So I'm going to say, hey, t squared, we're going to take the square root of both sides, okay? T will be equal to, remember, plus or minus the square root of 15/16. That's an entirely appropriate way to write that. Again, if they wanted approximations, we would do the same thing that we did previously. Okay, square root property, good stuff. All right, second way we're going to do this. We've kind of already done this before, right? We did a little bit of what we call the zero product property in chapter 8. That sun is really shining in over here. Okay, so we're going to bring that back, right? So quick refresher. Remember, it says these two factors are equal to 0. That means one of them has to be 0. The other one could actually be a number, but one of these, right, when I multiply two things together, if the answer is 0, that's what it says, equals 0 is 0. One of them has to be 0, okay? So all we need to do is set both of these expressions equal to 0 and solve them for the variable, whatever it is. That's all we got to do, folks. Okay, so this is easy enough. B equals 7. Over here, B is going to equal negative 4/3. Beautiful, done. Zero product property, right? Good to go. Okay? You guys happy with that? I'm happy with that. Okay? Great. Solve each equation. Alrighty. Well, if I look here, so I've got c to the second power equals 10c. Probably need to bring everybody to the same side here. So c to the second power, let's move this over here. So subtract 10c. When you have nothing on one side, that means 0. Let's go ahead, greatest common factor here. Greatest common factor would be a c, and this will turn into c minus 10 equals 0 here. Maybe you feel better if I do 2 print. There you go. Now it looks just like the one before. Set each one of these equal to 0. So c equals 0, c minus 10 equals 0. Solve You know what I mean? There's your two answers, 0 and 10. Okay. We're doing pretty good here. All right. Now, again, I call this the middle term a lot, right? So this is our quadratic term. This is our middle term. When we think about standard form, guys, when we have a middle term, right, we can't use square roots, okay? Factoring, yep, there's all of the things that we do. Okay, this is why we factored so much stuff, okay? Now we just need to solve this equation. Okay? I wonder if that's supposed to be a y there. I'm going to assume that that's going to be a y. Because if it's not a y, guys, then we would solve this not with factoring, but with square roots, okay? All right, so here we go. Add a y to yours. I would like us to factor this trinomial, right? If you'd like to pause the video, go ahead and do that. When we factor, guys, it will turn into y plus 4 and y plus 6, okay? Bam. That's why we factored so much, so that we could, right, factor this trinomial into this expression, and now I can use what I've been doing, the zero product property, to solve this equation. Y is negative 4, y is negative 6. Beautiful. Okay? There we go. Okay? Again, I don't expect you guys to factor this as quickly as I did. You're going to go through your normal, hey, write down all your factors of 24 and do all that stuff. I've been factoring forever, guys, so that's why I can do this a little bit quicker. Maybe not this one. All right. Okay, so, yep, can't use square roots. I have that middle term, right? 36x is that middle term. But what I would like to do is get them all together, okay? So 4x squared plus 36x plus 81 equals 0. Okay? If you recognize that this is a perfect square trinomial, you are the winner. Okay? Of what? I don't know. Some sort of prize. Okay? Remember. So 2 and 9. 2 times 9 is 18. 2ab, right, is going to give me 36. Anyway, when we factor this one, it's going to turn into 2x plus 9 and another 2x plus 9. Now this one we could solve a couple different ways. Okay? Because I could also write this one 2x plus 9. Somebody's going to ask me, couldn't we write it like that? We sure could, right? And if I see it like this, can I solve it with square roots? Absolutely. Will we get the same answer as if we do zero product property? We will. Okay? But we're doing this way, so I feel pretty good about this, right? So we'll just say, hey, 2x plus 9 equals 0. I don't need to write this down twice. It's going to give me the same answer if I do. Okay, so we'd subtract 9, divide by 2. X equals negative 9 halves, right? What is that, negative 4.5 for all you decimal people out there? Okay, good to go. Alrighty. And that's it. Wow, that's it. Sweet. Okay. So guys, last thing, I don't even know why this, I was looking at this ahead of time. I have no idea why this is on here, but we can talk about it real quick. We did this in 9-2, I think, maybe. Okay, write an equation if I'm given a graph. Well, remember, all I need to do to write an equation, I need two things, okay? Thing number one that I need, who remembers? Thing number one is the vertex, which in this case is, right here, this would be 0, 2. The second thing I need is just a point on the parabola. So any point will do. Don't choose the vertex. You could clearly choose one of these. I don't know that I would choose any of these other ones here. Maybe this one down here looks good. We'll just choose that one there. So I need a point, and that would be 1, 0. Okay. It says find the factors related to the expression. So, you know, previously, guys, we could say, hey, look, I know the two answers to this quadratic, if we're thinking about it, are negative 1 and 1. And those would be my two factors, and then we could work backwards, and we could do some other things. But what we're missing if we do that is that a value, right? Which is kind of the dilating part of a transformation, which makes it get really skinny or makes it get really wide, okay? So if we just if we just do the other method, it doesn't include this. All right. Does anybody remember vertex form? Hopefully I can remember it. I believe it to be y equals a x minus h squared plus k. Remember, the vertex, guys, is hk. The point that I choose is x and y. Okay? H this, k is that, x is this, y is that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 variables. I know 4 of them, right? We would figure out what a is. Okay? Do you guys want to do that? I don't know. Like, I guess we could, okay? So if we plug all this in, all right, so y is going to be, the number 1 equals a, x is, I'm sorry, why did I put 1 for y? Holy smokes. Equals 1 minus, what is that, 0 squared plus 2, okay? So 1 minus 0 is 1, 1 squared. Ooh, tricky, it's also 1. So this is going to look like 0 equals 1a plus 2, okay? So again, we're trying to find the a value, which I'm very close to, right? Subtract 2, divide by 1. A is what number, guys? You guessed it. A is the number -2. Okay? Now we can write the function. Okay? So the function, again, I'm just going to get rid of all this. We could leave it in vertex form, and then if we wanted to simplify it, we could. We would just say y equals -2 times x. Again, this is going to be minus 0 squared plus 2. We can clean that up a little bit better, folks. Y equals -2 x squared plus 2, right? Absolutely beautiful, okay? And there you go. I would assume, guys, if we put this into Desmos, it better look like that. If not, let me know, because that means I did something wrong. So anyway, that's the end of 9-4. So the sun is just beaming over here. So I hope you guys have a great day. It's bright and sunny here, and be awesome.